It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show.
Welcome to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 34. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, May 28th, 2023. The last episode for May 2023 for the Dep Lewis Show. So shout out to May 2023. It's been great. And welcome to the show today, the world famous Dep Lewis Show. We're here to talk about video games and much more, as we always do. So welcome. Hope you've had a good week out there in the loyal listener world. Hope you've done a lot of fun things. Hope you've been playing a very important, fun game that came out recently that everyone's playing, and I'm enjoying as well. And we're going to talk about in this first section. Hopefully you've been watching some sports. Just can't really believe. Well, I can't believe the Celtics have come back from down being 0-3, and it's tied 3-3, and they'll be playing Game 7, I think it's on Monday. And then the NBA Finals start on Thursday, so that's been pretty crazy. Got some baseball going on that we're going to talk about later in the show. And just welcome to the show. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So the first thing I want to tell you to do out there, since you are a loyal supporter and loyal listener of the Dep Lewis Show, if you'd like to help it grow even more, please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review, turn on notifications, and tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell anyone you'd like to, tell an AI, tell a chatbot, tell some AI friends, tell some robots, let them start playing this show. Email any questions or feedback to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. That email box is open 24/7, 365. So that means it's open all the time, ready for your emails, ready for your feedback, ready for your thoughts, questions, anything you want. And I'll probably use it as content on this show. So just know that. Full episodes are on the Dep Lewis Show. Everywhere you can go. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Patreon, and more on my Buzzsprout page. The Buzzsprout page is the perfect hub for you to find the perfect place to listen to the Dep Lewis Show. Clips of the show are on YouTube and TikTok. You can see some gameplay footage along with some podcast audio. So you can see some visuals for these things that I'm talking about. So that's pretty cool. Another avenue to try to get people to listen to the podcast. So please go support me on the YouTube and the TikTok. You can listen to full episodes of the Dep Lewis Show on the YouTube, which is pretty cool. Talk about the show structure. Notes to myself. Yeah, I'm really a good actor here. So the show structure for today, as always, in the first section, we're going to talk about what I've been playing. There's one primary game there we're going to talk about. Actually, there's one game only in that section, so that's pretty cool. We're going to talk about that. At the end of the first section, though, we're also going to talk about the games that I've missed this year that I'm interested in. So there's a pretty good list of those. And then we're going to talk about the 2023 games I've played. We're just going to run down that list so you can know where I stand right now. Because I'm going to be playing a certain game for a while, it seems like. I'm around 20 hours in, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit. But that game has been taking over my gaming life right now. So I thought it would be a good time to catch up, give you a snapshot of how the year's been looking. So that's going to be in the first section. In the mid section is going to be what I've been seeing across the video game world, across the video game landscape. And we're going to talk about a showcase that happened for Sony, PlayStation. I don't know why I said it like that, but the PlayStation had a showcase. We're going to talk all about that. That's the main thing we're going to talk about. And then we're going to talk about a game coming out next week, in the upcoming week. We're going to talk about an update, and that's going to do it for the mid section there. And then in the Miscellaneous Talk section today, the final section of the show, the third section of the show, we're going to do some comedy talk. We'll talk about a podcast. I want to talk about a comedy special, talk about a movie. And then for sports, we're going to talk about the greatest teams around, the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Braves. So that is what you can look forward to on the Dep Lewis Show, episode 34 today. So welcome to the show. Hope you're doing great. And we are going to get right into the show today. So let's see. Notes from last show. What could I have screwed up last week? So in Zelda talk, I said you have a cooking ability, but you don't have a cooking ability. I meant the camera. So I've been using the camera to try to complete the Hyrule Compendium. So I bust the camera out when I see something new and want to take a picture of it, whether that's like a plant or, even an enemy, and that's sometimes hard to do because the enemy is coming at you. But you do not have a cooking ability. You have the ability to cook. So it was just a mismatch of words there, but wanted to clarify that for you Zelda heads out there. And then the other one from Zelda was this word called CHASM. And my dumbass was calling it, a chasm last week on the podcast. I was listening back and I'm like, man, I can't believe I'm saying that. So it's a chasm, not a chasm. Not a chasm, not a chasm, a chasm and a chasm. This is a an Epona versus Epona, I think. It's not, because it is a chasm, but I wanted to bring that up. And I feel like I've heard people on podcasts call it a chasm this week as well, too. So I know I'm not the only one, but that was sounded ridiculous, and I said it like 3 times. So just shout out to me for doing a podcast. And all right, so if we're in Zelda, we're going to be going down a chasm, and we're going to be in Pacific Standard Time. And then it's going to be, oh man, what is it? It's a coven. A coven of witches is my other one. So I'm learning some stuff on this show. I'm going to learn to pronounce things better and be a better speaker out here in the world because of this show. So thank you. All right, so that was my correction for myself. And then last thing I want to say, even with pronouncing words wrong, like calling a chasm a chasm, I just want to thank you, loyal listeners. I've gotten 26 downloads in the last 7 days on my podcast, according to Buzzsprout, and that brings my total downloads up to 235. So I think those are like dedicated downloads of people downloading the show to their phone or whatever. So just thank you for this. That's really cool. 26 is a big chunk of my 235. I check those stats out from time to time, and I was really kind of surprised that they had jumped up, and I was like, what the hell's going on? But it's people listening to the show, and they're listening to old episodes. There are some different countries going on too, so shout out to you anywhere listening to the show. It's really appreciated, and it's really, really cool. And thank you to Buzzsprout for being the podcast hosting site that I use and giving me these stats. So I hope to see these rising up. It's just cool to see some people enjoying it, and I hope that will continue on. So just thank you. Really appreciate it. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is what I've been playing. So that's the whole main objective for this first section. And what I've been playing is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Let's say it, the game of the year for 2023 so far. It came out May 12th, 2023, $69.99 on the Nintendo Switch. First Nintendo game that's got the price increase. So hopefully you got $10 extra if you're trying to go cop this. And this game has been phenomenal. It's been the main thing I've been playing. It's been the only thing I've been playing. I've been playing it in handheld. I've been playing it on my TV. I've been playing it sitting on my porch some. And it is pretty much the only game I want to fire up when I'm going to play some games these days. It's been really fun. It's scratching a lot of video game itches for me. It's got a cool objective. It's got cool music. It's got a nice story. I like some of the characters going on. It has small objectives that you can do all the time. You can walk around anywhere and find something to do. And I think it's really, really fun. I think if I would have kept pressing along in Breath of the Wild more, I would have been having the same kind of experience. But at least I'm getting to enjoy this, second version that seems like it has a whole lot of stuff in it. All these new abilities. Seems like a pretty different game in a lot of ways, but similar in some. But I think it's really, really cool, and I can't believe that it's lived up to the hype. I feel like that's the coolest part. That this game, 2017 was the first release of Breath of the Wild. They've had 6 years to develop this game. Everyone in the industry and world is looking towards this release. I think it had sold 10 million in the first week or something crazy like that. I think Breath of the Wild, don't quote me on this, but sold around 50 million, lifetime or something. This game should easily be on pace for that, and it's just really impressive. So I've been taking some notes as I play. Let's see where I'm at in this game. I'm wondering to myself last week, is there any way to track your shrine progress and total count? And you can see on the loading screen how many shrines you've completed. And I think just the visual cue of if you have the green and blue lights above the shrine, that means you haven't completed it yet, is a good visual cue in the world. So I've been trying to mark, I guess there's probably a different word for it, but mark whenever I see a shrine on the map. Even if I'm not going to it right away, I will mark it so I can try to get to it later. And I've been making a point to go to the shrines though, because I need to do that. And I've been allowing myself to look up some walkthroughs if I get stuck, but I've been surprising myself a few times where I've solved them myself. So that is definitely not my strong suit, playing these Zelda games, is some of the puzzly stuff. But this game is very fun, and I do give it an honest shot. At least and then usually when I find the solution, something was right there. So I think the game design on this is amazing and really cool, and allows you to have some fun and try some things out. And sometimes trying some things out even works. So there's a lot of cool things going on in this game. There's many, many layers to how cool this game is what I want to say. So you can track your shrine progress. So I've completed 21 shrines at this point. I'm just over the 20-hour mark on the game according to the Nintendo Switch. I have 7 hearts and I have 1 stamina boost so far. So I stuck to my friend's advice, and he said get 6 hearts before you get a stamina. And I one-upped him when I got 7 hearts and I got a stamina boost. So I don't know what I'm going to do next. I'm kind of tempted probably to get another stamina boost, but I probably need to keep getting my hearts up. But I've been mainly sticking to the, oh man, I forget what they call it, but they call it the ground or something. But I've been mainly sticking to Hyrule, and I've been in the depths some, but that was basically just for that one mission, and I've gone down a few wells. But I get down there and I get a little bit scared, but you're usually able to cop some good resources down there. And I haven't been back in the sky much, but I'm actually venturing up to the sky a little bit right now because I have got to Rito Village. But let's see, we're going to talk about that in a second. I've been working towards completing the compendium. Has been fun. I've been doing that a little more so, and that's been slowing down some progress. But I've been going around the world looking for things I haven't seen before. I think there's like 3 or 4 different categories of things that you can collect pictures for. And just so you know about this, because it confused me and maybe it'll confuse you, but when you take a picture of something, it saves it into your album. You don't need to. It saves it into your album, and you have 64 slots in your album or something like that. So your album can get filled up pretty quickly, and there's no reason to save those. I just want to say there's no reason to save those pictures in your album unless you really just want to. If you take a picture of a whatever it is, some type of wild, a Hylian herb or whatever, if you take a picture of that, you'll get a notification that it logs it into your compendium, and it'll save that picture in your compendium. You don't have to have it in your album for it to save in your compendium. That was the thing I was worried about, but it's not the case. So a lot of times I'm filling up those 64 pictures pretty quickly in my album, and I'm just deleting them so I can get room to take pictures of new things. Because I'm really just taking pictures for the Hyrule Compendium. If you're really trying to capture a picture, I think you'd probably want to get the screenshot through the Nintendo system. But that was one thing I wanted to bring up about the game. But the Compendium is really fun, and I like even taking multiple pictures of something. If I get a better picture, I like judging my picture taking and picking which one I think is cooler. So that's been really fun, and just another good layer to this game. Another good layer is, helping that guy with the signs, Mr. President Hudson. I'm really campaigning pretty hard for President Hudson out here. And that guy's provided me with some cash, which is nice and something that I need and something that I've been trying to work towards since I've been in Rito Village. I bought some clothing, I guess you call it clothing or armor. I don't know what is the correct term, but I bought some gear that helps me fight the cold, which is really nice. So let's see, fighting President Hudson. You got to help the guy find his friend and you get some Korok seeds. These two have been objectives I've been seeing a lot throughout the world: the President Hudson signs and the help a guy find his friend with the Korok seeds. And I've been doing them every time, like pretty religiously. But last, a couple times recently, I passed them up. So this game offers a whole lot, and you're seeing these things constantly. And so it really is nice that you don't have to worry about, you're missing something crucial. I think these things are placed around, just for convenience sake and to keep it interesting. I don't think you have to, maybe at some point I'm going to want to try to find all the signs, but if you were trying to complete everything in this game, through moving through every section, trying to complete everything there's available in this game, I think you would, I don't know, I just think it would take you forever. Because I think one little area has so much to do that unless you really are just intent on, clearing a whole area of every objective, and you're probably going to have to come back through there later anyways. It's like, there's a lot going on in this game. So I have been, just picking my battles a little more as I go forward because I've been pushing the story a little bit and trying to get some items there. So that's what we're going to talk about here in a second. Let's see if I have any more general stuff to talk about. I like the building in this game. It's very fun. I like how intuitive it is, and it's fun to throw some things together. I now have a common strategy I use when I'm trying to hang the President Hudson signs. If I see certain materials, I'll have a pretty good method of what to do and solve it quickly. So that's pretty nice. And yeah, everywhere you go in this game is something to do or look at. So that's really, really impressive in this game. So let's see here. Let's talk about where I'm at right now. So I've met one of my new favorite characters in this game. So at first, it's been Rauru, Mr. Rauru, who was guiding you through the Sky Island in the first section. He gave you his arm. He's trying to help you find Zelda, and he's disappeared now. So I haven't seen old Rauru, but he's up there for my favorite characters in this game. But my new favorite could possibly be Mr. Tulin. And Tulin's up there now for my favorite character. He's so cool, and he can fly. He can help me fly too, which is really cool. I wonder if I actually get to keep him with me or not. But right where I'm at in the section now, he's hanging out with me, and he can provide a gust of wind for me to help me propel myself forward. And I just met him right before I went into the Wind Temple, so I had to go find him. That was the whole thing. When I got to Rito Village, they want me to go find Tulin, see if he can help. And Tulin just keeps going farther and farther. up the mountain in this cave, and he's out the top, and then now I'm out the top with him trying to get to the Wind Temple. So it's been really, really fun. I'm a little bit intimidated by the Wind Temple, but I'll be talking to you next week about that. Most likely is the main thing I'll be trying to complete. But Rito Village is, the first one that I ventured to. That was a little bit of a recommendation from a friend, and a little bit I was just kind of in the area and found myself going over there. But I really like these Rito Village people. They're really cool. And they are, just so you know some backstory on the Rito, they're a recurring race in the Legend of Zelda series. They are people who possess avian features, including wings, which give them the ability of flight. In the Wind Waker, they are primarily humanoid with a few bird-like traits. And Breath of the Wild, Rito have adopted completely avian forms. And they're really, really cool, and they are up there for, maybe one of my favorite characters in the game with Mr. Tulin. But Tulin is a young Rito, and he's probably the top level flyer out of all the Rito. He's got a very good go-getter attitude, and he's on it. He's very hyped to help out and do some things, and he's got a lot of skill, which is the good part too. So they keep looking at old Tulin like, hey, you're too young to be sitting on this important mission, but they're like, damn, this guy does have the skill to do it. So we got to kind of weigh this out. That he probably is the best man for the job. But Rito Village is really cool when you get to it. It's impressive looking. It's fun to walk around and look. And I've stopped at every little shop and talked to all the people. It's all snowy and windy, and they have a shop there that is selling gear that helps you prevent getting cold resistance. So I'd already have a pair of pants or greaves that are helping me with cold resistance that I found earlier in the game. So this shop is selling you a different pair of pants. It has a tunic and it has a hood or like some headwear. So I decided to put my rupees. Oh man, that could be another one. I already know that one though. It's rupees, but I think there was a point in life where I said rubies, and I think some people still do say rubies. So that could be another one to add to the list of trip up words that we're talking about. But these rupees, man, that was fucking me up. What was I even talking about? Those pants in the store, yeah. So I bought the tunic. I could afford that pretty easily. I had almost enough for that, and then I ended up. My new method of getting money in this game right now is using. I'm doing some hunting. So if I find some raw meat, I'm cooking it, and I'm selling that recipe or selling that food item to get some money back. So I think that's a decent way to make some money. Is selling things that you're finding like pretty plentiful in the world, and things that regen. So like I cooked up some, Hyrule herbs, cooked those up and sold whatever that result was. I cooked up, apples and peppers and just things I had a lot of in my inventory, and I kept some, and I sold some because I'm assuming I'm going to be able to find more of these resources as I, traverse back and forth across this world. So I've been pretty diligent about picking things up. So I think this could be a good way for me to make some money and not have to sell anything important, because I really don't know all the way yet what I'm going to need like later on in the game, because this game is a can of worms. It's an ever expanding universe in multiple ways. So there's lots of stuff going on here, and I want to try to be somewhat prepared for it. But this game is guiding you in a pretty great way. I would say it's pretty user friendly, and I've gone to a guide a few times, but I don't think that's been like, I haven't been like reading the guide following along. I've been able to play this game probably 80%, 85% of the way without having to use a guide for something. But it's been helpful to use those, and it's helping me move forward, so I appreciate that. So let's see, the Rito. So I ended up buying the tunic and the headpiece. I already have the greave, so I was hoping that would give me the proper resistance to go wherever I needed to. I don't know if you need to have all that equipment to go through this Rito section in the Wind Temple, but I was just trying to plan ahead, and I like the way the stuff looks, and I probably want to try to buy all these outfits and stuff anyways. Would be a kind of a cool goal. Because they make Link look so awesome, and I already liked the one I had, and now I switched it up, and I think it'd be cool to collect some of these things, because I'm pretty sure every village I go to, I'm gonna think the stuff is cool and want to buy it. So I got to figure out a way to make some more moolah. So I probably got to do some more farming in this game than I did previously, and I think I got to farm for some hunting, and maybe I don't know, find some other means to hustle and make some money out here. Try to be a Gary V, be a Gary V of the Hyrule Kingdom is what I want to do out there. Find the acorns, and I'm going to flip them. I'm going to if I can, find an acorn and sell it for 1 rupee. That's 1 rupee I didn't have before. All I got to do is sell 1 million of those, and I can buy all the armor in this game. No big deal. It'll only take all my time that I have. But this game has been awesome, and I think it's pretty firmly, I don't know, I keep saying firmly at the top of my Game of the Year list. I played a lot of good games this year, but this one has really been hitting pretty hard, and I would think it's a pretty strong candidate for Game of the Year for the Dep Lewis Show right now. So with that, we're going to wrap up the Zelda talk for this week. I'll be back next week probably with mainly Zelda talk in this first section, but we're going to talk about the games, the year that's been, what has happened so far already in 2023. I'm going to tell you the games that I've played. So these are the games that are kicking around on my Game of the Year list. All games that I played this year. So we're just going to run down these lists. We're not going to really talk about them too long. I just kind of want to give you a sense for what's out there. So I played Fire Emblem Engage. I played Dead Space Remake. I played Hi-Fi Rush. I played Dead Cells Return to Castlevania DLC. I played Hogwarts Legacy. I played MLB The Show 23. And I played The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So those have been all the games that I've purchased or played through Game Pass this year. So those have been the ones that I've chosen to spend some money or spend some time on. There's been a bunch of games that have come out this year too that I've been interested in but just haven't had the time or the desire to pay the cash for them. So I'm going to tell you what those games are because there's a pretty good list of those. So these are games I look at from time to time. Sometimes trying to check to see if they got sales and stuff like that. But Metroid Prime Remastered, Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line, Octopath Traveler 2, Like a Dragon Ishin, Have a Nice Death, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Bayonetta Origins Cereza and the Lost Demon, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, and Humanity. So I think some of the, I think Humanity is probably the top of my list of things I want to buy priority-wise, just because it's something I think I could play alongside Zelda that would be cool. It's a PS5 and I believe a PC exclusive, and it's $29.99 and looks really neat. It's from the makers of Tetris Effect Connected, so that's one I've been thinking over the last couple of days of purchasing, but I've just been on too much of a Zelda kick, so I wasn't trying to slow that down. But this I might want to try to get another game in here, so I can talk about it and learn about some more video games. But the other ones on this list that I think about more prominently that I want to buy are probably Metroid Prime Remastered. But that's not a good time to buy a Switch game because it's going to take up time for Zelda, so I don't think that's the best time. But another game, Resident Evil 4 Remake, is another one I have my sights on. I think it could be an okay time to buy that game. I still have the Dead Space Remake. I'm in the midst of that, so I don't know if it's a great time to buy another survival horror game. But I also think, they're a little bit different style, and I do kind of want to play both of them anyway. So maybe it's time to cop that too. But those are kind of the 2 or 3 that I'm looking at from that list that I've missed. But there's a whole slate of games coming out this year. There's one coming out next week that we're going to talk about in the midsection. And then, I don't know if I wrote down that list anywhere, but we're going to talk about games coming out later in the year, obviously later in the year. But there is a game coming out next week that's an auto purchase for me. And we're going to talk about that in the midsection. That is the perfect opportunity to wrap up the first section of this Dep Lewis Show, episode 34. We talked about housekeeping things at the top. We talked about some notes from last show. We talked about what I've been playing, which has been The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And then we ran down a little quick list of what the year has been so far. What have I played? And what have I missed that I'm interested in and could still be copying or buying at some point? And then, so that's going to wrap up this first section of the show. So we're going to take a short break. You're going to hear some music. It's going to be really short on my end. You're just going to hear some music. And the show's going to be back. But if you need to go do something, it's the perfect time to go do that. Or obviously just keep listening to the show after this music, and we'll be back for the midsection, where we're going to talk what I've been seeing across the video game landscape. So please go do what you need to do and come back in just a few. Welcome back to the midsection of the Dep Lewis Show, episode 34. Thank you for returning to the show. We're here to talk about what is going on in the video game world. What's going on across the video game landscape, what I've been seeing out there. So there was a showcase this week from PlayStation, the PlayStation Showcase, and we're going to talk about that. So this is basically like, of years past when E3, this is like E3, but PlayStation's doing their own E3 since no one decides to go to E3 anymore. So PlayStation put on their showcase last week. I think it was around like an hour long. There was like something like 40 games shown. If you there's a few like collections and stuff, but we're going to run down the list and talk about it. I actually watched Min-Max with 2 N's live stream over this, and they talked about it while it was going on, so that was fun to watch them. I know a bunch of other outlets like Jeff Gerstmann did this, and maybe Nextlander and a few others, so go check those out. As a great way to watch these, or you can just watch the direct feed from PlayStation if you like to. And then I also used IGN.com a little bit for this summary, so getting these notes together for this show, so I wanted to shout out IGN as well for having the summary of all this stuff. So we're just going to run down the games that I thought were interesting and things I might possibly buy or have in my eyesight for when they're going to be released. And I'm not talking about all the games in the show because there was something like 30 to 40 games talked about, so we're going to talk about a good handful of them here. So let's get right into it. First game I saw in that showcase was Spider-Man 2. There's no release date given, but there was a lengthy gameplay showcase. This game is going to feature both Peter Parker and Miles Morales. Pete has a new moveset that revolves around his symbiote suit, and we saw some new moves from Miles as well. The trailer also revealed another villain, Kraven the Hunter. So this game comes out fall 2023, plays 2 Spider-Men, don the black suit, explore new city boroughs, battle iconic villains, take flight with web wings, master all new abilities, and DualSense features. So this is a game that I'll be purchasing day one. It'll be a great reason to bust out the PS5. I've beaten the original Spider-Man game, which was a surprise. I believe that was 2018 that game came out. It was the first game I completed when I think I had a PS4 early on in its life cycle and sold it, and then bought one later on in the life cycle, and I think that was the first game I played when I bought it the second time. And then for Miles Morales, I really love the Miles Morales movie, and I played that game. I don't know if I've completed it, but I don't have my prior save anymore, so it's something where I think I played most of it, but maybe not completed it all, so it's something I could maybe try to get to before then. Would be a cool idea, now that I'm thinking about it. But I really love these games. I just don't know if it's the best time to play an open world sort of story game. I don't know. It could be okay to play alongside Zelda. It's not as open world and not as like physicsy based and systems based and mechanics based as Zelda is. It's more of a story thing with a cool open world, and there's some collectibles, but you're mainly flying around as a spider, so it's a lot different. So that's something I'll think about. But Spider-Man 2 is really, really cool. I think the new Miles Morales movie comes out, or it just came out, or it's coming out. I would definitely want to see that at some point. So I'm a Spider-Man fan over here. I like the movies, I love the games, and it was cool to get to see some gameplay from this. They showed a pretty good bit, but basically, I could probably see nothing from this game up until it comes out and still want to play it. So there's not much here I need to see. Most of the things I'm seeing are just a little bit spoilery, and not that I'm too concerned with story spoilers or whatever, but it'd be cool to see some of this stuff for the first time if I'm definitely going to play it. So Spider-Man 2, you've kind of already sold me, but that was definitely a big part of the show. Alright, so the next game, these, I'm not talking in order of the games in the show, I'm just kind of talking in order of, the games I thought were coolest. So, it's not like an official order, but it's sort of an order. So the next game that was talked about was the Metal Gear Solid Remake. So I believe it is Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is the title of this. So Metal Gear Solid 3 is going to be remade. None of the actual game itself was shown. Instead, we just got a big mysterious trailer leading up to the reveal. So hopefully, thinking through it now, it could be like a full-fledged remake like Resident Evil 4 or what was the other one I just had? Dead Space. They just did graphics to that. Or Final Fantasy 7. It's kind of more of a reimagining. I don't know. I guess just a modern version of this game is going to be really cool in any way. And I've never played Metal Gear Solid 3 or I haven't played a substantial part of it, but Metal Gear Solid 4 is one of my favorite games ever. Metal Gear Solid 5 is something I need to probably play more of. I always wanted to buy that Metal Gear Solid collection, the 1, 2, and 3 that was on the Xbox 360. I basically looked at that all the time, and I don't know why I never purchased it. Something I could still purchase right now, thinking about it. But Metal Gear is something I really, really like. It was, the PS3 was my main first PlayStation console ever. I played a PS2 way after it had been released. I bought one just way later on and played it. But a PlayStation 3 is the first one I had kind of around release, or in the window. And playing Metal Gear Solid 4 was epic. That was one of the cooler games I've ever played. I can remember when, where, and what I was doing when I was playing that game, kind of thing. One of those kind of things. It was really, really neat, and just shocking to play something so cool and different that I hadn't played before. So Metal Gear, I hold it in very high regards in my mind, and I'll definitely be checking out for any of these releases. Maybe I'll think about playing some old releases. Maybe I'll think about playing Metal Gear 5. these choices of these releases are smart because they are getting me excited for new content and also getting me excited for content that's already out there. So they're going to possibly double dip me and a lot of other people to go buy some old games and then buy this new game when it comes out. So that is the reason for the season, the reason for the remake season. But I think it's a cool thing, especially if you haven't played the prior game, and especially if it's an old game that they reimagine in some way and change it for modern gen. I think that's really cool too, and I think it's worthwhile. I think it can be overdone, obviously, or you don't want to see everything get remade, but I think the games are overflowing, so I'll take it. It's pretty cool. All right, the next game that was been, I guess the release date was announced to this is Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2. It releases on 10/17/2023. That is the Brick Squad Day. Remedy showed off the long-awaited horror sequel. The trailer showed Alan Wake's return, who appeared to be trapped in a dark place. This time, Alan Wake is joined by a new playable character, Saga Anderson, who is joining Alan on his investigation. So, I have a funny history with Alan Wake. The first game I got it when it was released, I believe, had to be somewhere around the 2007 times or something like that. And I was playing this game and really enjoying it. And my friends, I think mainly one of my friends, but it might have been multiple, were clowning me for playing this game because I was, it's a game where you fight people with a flashlight. So they were just really clowning me. I think Call of Duty's out around that time, Halo 3, all sorts of crazy shit. And they're like, oh, you're playing that flashlight game. But, I don't know. I think I'd beat Alan Wake. I'm not sure. But it's something, too, I could try to dip back into. I got a lot of notes from this show that I need to get a list of stuff together. Or get a list of franchises together that I'm interested in. Yeah, maybe kind of go back to some of them. I know Alan Wake has a remastered version, so I don't know. But Alan Wake 2 could be something I play on release. You never know. I haven't played an Alan Wake game in forever, and I just kind of have a funny history with it. But I really did like it. I like it a lot. It's cool, and I'm on a little bit of that survival horror kick. So that kind of fits perfectly into that plan. So we will see. But Alan Wake 2 looks very cool, looks very spooky, looks very fun. And it looks like it could be a great time playing the video game. Oh my gosh, man. The next game, even 2, is a game where I want to go play the original. So this is crazy. I'm giving myself a lot of homework here that I may never complete or may never think about again, but it is something to think about. But the next game is called Revenant Hill. And this is a new adventure coming from the makers of Night in the Woods. So Night in the Woods would be the game I want to go back and play. I believe it's $20 on a lot of platforms. And I already own it on the Nintendo Switch. But the Nintendo Switch right now is a Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom machine only. It would be I think I already said this. I don't want to say it again. I was going to say sacrilegious. But it would be sacrilegious to play anything on the Switch right now besides Zelda. Because it's so much fun. And it's so brand new and all that kind of stuff. But this Revenant Hill game looks cool. The teaser shows a black cat running through the side-scrolling hand-drawn landscapes. So these are just adventure games. We don't know much about this new title, but it is coming to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. So it looks looking like it could be an exclusive for some possible amount of time or maybe forever. Who knows? But something that I think I want to play. All right, the next game, what they showed off was Final Fantasy 16 that comes out June 22nd, 2023. This was a new story trailer. We got a live look at Clive interacting with a ton of characters around, I don't even want to say that word, around the world, Valistia, along with a glimpse of a ton of new and returning Final Fantasy monsters. So, I don't have too much Final Fantasy knowledge. I have a little bit of Final Fantasy history with playing a couple of the games for, part of them. But this is something I think I would maybe take a gamble on if I wasn't playing Zelda. But, this is only a couple weeks away. There is a new game coming out next week that I really want to play that I'm purchasing. So I just don't know if I'm going to have time for Final Fantasy right away. But my hopes for this game that it reviews well and I possibly cop it later in the year, maybe or early next year or something like that. Maybe it'll be something I buy in the future. So hopefully it's hope it's a good product. I hope it's a fun game to play, and hopefully it's a game that you can play from a couple years. Hopefully it's good enough to withstand some time between it. So that's kind of my hope. All right, the next game that was announced is called Marathon. Bungie announced a new entry in the Marathon series. when I heard Marathon, I was like, oh man, that's it's a pretty esteemed series, but I don't know why. I've never played it. I've never really seen much of it. It's just, I think it's something of a past era, but I think it was something really cool back in the day, and a lot of people really liked it. So I guess it's been a long time coming, because Marathon is a first-person shooter. Bungie originally released on Mac in 1992, making this a pretty deep cut for Bungie to return to, but I guess pretty cool. Most people would know Bungie because of Halo, but I guess Bungie was originally known for Marathon. So if you're a Bungie fan from the beginning, you would know about this, and I think that's really cool now thinking about it. I think if this series had a bunch of success prior to Halo, I guess that's why they got the chance to do Halo. So that makes sense. So they had to have at least some good ideas. You have your hardware limitations from being back in 1992, but that is not to say they cannot make a cool and interesting game, as we've seen thousands of examples of games from the past that are still fun and good. So this is something I'll have my eyes on for sure. I'd like to learn more about this. Maybe I should do some Marathon research. But this game is not a direct sequel to the originals, but Bungie says it belongs in the same universe. And according to PlayStation, this game is PvP focused and won't feature a single player campaign. So that part right there, I don't remember typing that note, but that immediately puts my interest meter down a pretty good bit. Probably 85% down, I would say, just like I used 85% earlier. But I don't know if I'm into some PvP first-person shooting, but we will see. But either way, very cool announcement. I'll be glad to hear some more about that, and I will report some more on this to you on the Dep Lewis Show in the future, I'm sure. All right, let's keep going down. So those are probably, I guess, after Final Fantasy, the really top dogs from the showcase I was into were Spider-Man 2, Metal Gear Solid Remake, Alan Wake 2, and Revenant Hill, and even Final Fantasy 16. And the rest of these are kind of like, I'll be checking for them. Maybe I'll take a flyer on them. Maybe I'll see if they review well. It'd be something I jump into. So the next one is called Fairgame. It has a money symbol at the end of the name. So not something I would initially say is cool or I like, but whatever. It's just a title. But Sony kicked the event off by oh no, this is not the one. The next one. But yeah, Sony kicked the event off by revealing Fairgame, which is coming from Jade Raymond's Haven Studio. This game is a competitive heist experience coming to PS5 and PC about robbing the ultra-rich. The trailer started with images of hacking before seeing groups of people attempting to break into banks. It appears to have a science fiction bend, as the characters were wielding very advanced-looking weaponry. There's no release window given for this game, but it kind of had some Watch Dogs vibes. The trailer was very cool, but after learning some of the details of this game, I don't know if it would be something I play. But it was kind of a cool, flashy way to open the show, and I could see this being popular if they execute it well. So, fair game. The next game is the one I wanted to bring up. It's called Foamstars. This Square Enix revealed a first look at Foamstars, which appears to be a Splatoon-like team shooter. So, that is the one comparison that drew my attention. I don't have any problems with how Splatoon runs on the Switch or in its gameplay, but I think having a next-gen console version of Splatoon, like with a little bit of different take, if they can nail it, would be kind of cool. Something at least worth checking out. But the gameplay in this looked like the characters were competing to cover the ground with as much foam as possible. And many fans in the chat were saying it looked like Splatoon mixed with Persona. So those are both two franchises I really like. And this game is coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. So I don't think there's a high chance this could be better than Splatoon or even as good as Splatoon. But if it's somewhere close, it could be something cool to check out. And, maybe I will. So we will see. Foamstars. Alright, the next game they showed off was Assassin's Creed Mirage. It gets a release date for October 12th, 2023. This is coming to Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, PC, and Amazon Luna. So we don't have to have a next-gen console to play this, so that's nice for those folks. This is a smaller in scope version of an Assassin's Creed game, so I think that could be a good thing too. They could hopefully have a little more quality over quantity in this game would be nice. It includes a new feature called Assassin's Focus, which lets you mark and assassinate several targets in a row. I gotta say, I don't know if this would be a definite purchase for me, but I do have I like the Assassin's Creed franchise a lot. I do end up buying those games. I've probably bought most of them. I've only completed a handful of them. I really like the first game in the series. I think that's the one that really hooked me down this train. But I don't know if these games actually hit as hard as that anymore, especially with other open world games coming out. So even thinking about it now, I'm gonna have to look at these games through a Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom lens, and that's not going to, fare well for some of these other games, from my opinion of looking at them. I got to think about that before going to play them. At this point, I'm like, is it really going to be more exciting and interesting than Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, or even the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild? These are open world games doing some things very, very right. And it's going to take something like maybe like the Spider-Man games to be another game that's like, such a particular take on the open world that it's something cool to jump into. So we will see. Or like an Elder Scrolls, that coming back, that's an open world that I would immediately want to jump into. So I don't know. We'll see. Assassin's Creed, it could draw my attention, based on the reviews or based on, if I have some other stuff I'm playing around that time. But as you can see in the last section, there's ton of games I've missed this year that I'm interested in, and that there's a ton of games coming out this year still, so we have nothing but games. All right, the last one I want to talk about from the showcase is actually a piece of hardware. It's called Project Q, and PlayStation announced a dedicated game streaming device. So this is something that had been rumored and talked about a little bit, and it actually is what was the rumor. So it's a game streaming device. That's a little bit of the caveat here, where it's a little bit less exciting, where you have to have the PS5 console. So this will allow players to stream any game from their PS5 console using remote play over Wi-Fi. It has an 8-inch high-definition screen and all the buttons and features the DualSense controller has, which is nice. No release date was given for this new hardware. And Sony also revealed the first official PlayStation earbuds. So I don't know if this is something I would buy. This could be cool if you have a household. I don't know if you can play the PS5 while you're remote playing as well. That would be a cool feature, but I don't know. I don't know if I'd buy this. I would obviously like to have, but I would like to have a PlayStation handheld. That'd be something I'd be interested in. I like playing my Switch handheld. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see the price of this thing. I think having the DualSense controller built in, it basically looks like a DualSense with the phone in the middle. I think that's pretty enticing and looks pretty cool. It could be a pretty comfortable way to play some games. I just don't know how well it would run. I live, in the Dep Lewis studio here. It's a very, a very gigantic studio, but it's not really. So I don't know if I have a need for, playing it all around my place, but I do like the idea of being able to play in bed or, have your TV doing something else while you're playing in handheld. So I don't know. I'll just be keeping tabs on this, and I'm sure I'll be talking more about it on the Dep Lewis Show, just as we get some more info or when it gets released. So the PlayStation Showcase was pretty great. It's basically the start of the summer game announcements. We have the Summer Games Fest coming up. Might be next week, but whenever the Summer Game Fest from Mr. Jeff Keighley comes out, that's a pretty big gaming announcement show. We'll be talking about that a lot on this show, and there should be some other other announcements as the summer rolls on. A lot of people like to give us some information, but PlayStation really kicked it off in a great way, and I had fun watching this, and it's just cool. It's really, really cool. I think I've said it in a previous episode. These summer announcements used to be, really, really extra exciting because there was a little bit of drought, over the summer for games. But we get games all the time now. We're getting announcements, pretty timely. It's like it's a pretty great time to be a video gamer, is what I would say. All right, so some more proof that it's a great time to be a video gamer. There is a game coming out next week. If you're listening to this in real time, this game comes out June 2nd, 2023 for $59.99. And that is Street Fighter 6. We are returning to the streets to fight some people. So no one starts off as a champion. You get there step by step, punch by punch. Take up the challenge and bring your game to the next level. And I wrote, maybe I'll play with someone other than Ryu. I've already been playing with Ken some in the demo, and I've been playing with Ken some back in Street Fighter 5. So I'm really, really, really changing it up from Ryu to Ken. Really, 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 really just different guys. But I can't wait to play this game. I keep going back and forth if I'm going to buy it on the Xbox or the PlayStation. The argument for I have a fight stick for both, so that the controller is a moot point. I could play on the fight stick either way. I already have Xbox Live or Xbox Gold, paid for till next year, so that's the best argument for Xbox. But I think, I don't know, I keep going back and forth on, do I need to I should start buying games on one platform all the time. Like if it's available on PlayStation, I should buy it on PlayStation, unless it's an exclusive, I need to kind of pick. I think that would maybe be smart just for building a digital collection for the future, but I just don't know how important it is. But I'm going to be buying this game either way. on Friday. I'm going to pre-order it. I'm going to have it downloaded. I'm going to play it after work. I'm going to play it all weekend. It's going to be the next big thing I play along with Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. So I can't wait to talk about this. I like playing some story stuff in Street Fighter, but my main thing I like to do is just go online and play people and get my ass kicked and try to get better and try to collect some wins. And that's the main thing I do. I just go online. I'll even play ranked matches. I don't care. I don't mind getting my ass kicked. I just like playing. I'll throw some music on. I'll throw a podcast on. I'll play for an hour, and it's one of the best times in video games. Street Fighter 4 is one of my favorite games ever. Street Fighter 5, I didn't get really catch the bug there for Street Fighter 5 so much, so I'm looking forward to get back into Street Fighter 6, and I can't wait. So, comes out Friday, 6/2/2023. Go cop it, and you can maybe catch me online playing, It'd be great. So, the next thing I want to talk about in this section, the last little thing, there was an update to Rogue Legacy 2. It's a free update. It's called the Swan Song Update. And I think it's been out since May 24, 2023, so it's been out for a couple days. There are 3 brand new game modes, there are 4 new subclasses, and there are 100 plus tweaks and bug fixes. So, Rogue Legacy 2 is a game I own on the Xbox. I believe it's available on more platforms now even. I think you can cop this on the Switch now, which is nice. And I know I love a free update. I love some free content. Very nice. Rogue Legacy is already a good game. Getting some more stuff added to it is a great reason for me to possibly download it again. To re-download and play some more. So that could be another note to myself here. I'm getting a lot of just more proof that, there's endless good video games, and it's just a great thing. So Rogue Legacy 2 with the update. So that's going to wrap up the mid-section of this show today. So we talked about the PlayStation Showcase. Tons of good games there being shown. So go watch a replay of the PlayStation Showcase. Or go read IGN. They have a great summary if you want to read summaries of these games. Or go watch MinMax live stream over it. And then we talked about the upcoming release on June 2nd, 2023 of Street Fighter 6. A definite purchase from me. Something you'll be hearing about on the Dep Lewis Show in the future. So get excited for that. And then Rogue Legacy 2 had a free update, so if you own Rogue Legacy 2, could be a reason to go back to it. Or if you want to purchase it now, it's an even greater reason, more content available in the game, more bang for your buck to go buy the Rogue Legacy 2. So lots of great games out here in the midsection around the video game world. So we are going to take another break. You're going to hear some more great music, and then we're going to come back for the Miscellaneous Talk section of the show. We're going to talk some podcast stuff, some comedy podcasts. We're going to talk a movie. We're going to talk a comedy special, and then we're going to get into the worldwide world of sports. So go take another break. Go reheat your coffee. Go pet your dog. Go throw some laundry in. Go unload the dishwasher. Or, hey, just keep listening. I'll be back in just a second after this music. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 34. This is the Miscellaneous Talk section, so we are going to talk about some miscellaneous things. So the first thing I want to bring to your attention is the Matt and Shane Secret Podcast. So Shane Gillis and Matt McCusker have a podcast, and this week, I recommend their podcast any time of the day, any time of the week, year. But they had Danny McBride on their podcast this week. I believe they recorded this at Danny McBride's house, which is pretty epic. I know Matt was in... Not Matt, Shane Gillis was in Charleston doing a show with like Tim Dillon and maybe Bert or somebody. It was like a pretty crazy show. So I guess that's why they were there and able to link up with Danny. And this was very funny. I love Danny McBride from, Pineapple Express and, a million other things. And just really, really cool. It was cool to see this combo on there. They were talking about, on their next episode or after the fact, it was a little bit uncomfortable because, they're such a fan of him. Eastbound and Down is his other main show. But you could tell Shane and Matt were kind of fans and they were trying to feel it out, but it was just cool to see such a big, high profile, like comedic actor on there. And just very cool. So go watch that. And then, that was last week. And then the current week episode of Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast, they had Will Compton on there. Will Compton from Bustin' with the Boys and Taylor Lewan. So I watch Bustin' with the Boys from time to time, and, they put a lot of good content out there. So it was funny to watch this. The new episode is called Scrimps. So you want to go see why they're talking and what they're calling scrimp-like. But it was very funny. And so go watch that. And go watch the Matt and Shane Secret Podcast every week. It's one of my can't miss kind of things. So I just wanted to shout out and highlight those dudes because they're very funny. All right, the next thing in the comedy world is Brent Kreischer, Bert Kirschner. Krishna, Bert Kreischer. Bert Kreischer has a new movie out called The Machine. It's in theaters now. One of my friends went to see it. There was Bert's been doing, a million different promos for this and hyping it up, and it looks really good. It has Mark Hamill in it. Bert's kissing a lady in this movie. It's his wife. Not his real life wife, but he's kissing his in-movie wife, so he was all excited about that. And I just really like Bert and everything he does, his comedy, his podcast, just his antics, his personality, all that kind of stuff is very entertaining, and I think it's cool. He's in a giant, big-budget movie, so hopefully it's doing well, selling a lot, and I just don't generally go to the movie theaters too much, but this would be something I want to watch at some point, so I'll be checking for it, and I think you should too. So go check out Bert Kreischer's movie, The Machine, starring Bert Kreischer. All right, some more comedic news. Speaking of the two bears in one cave, speaking of the one bear to the other bear, Mr. Tom Segura, he has a new Netflix special called Sledgehammer, and it's coming July 4th, 2023. This is a Ryan Polito directed hour, and I googled Ryan Polito, and he is just a very famous comedy special director, which is nice, so he must work with most of the high-profile people. And this special was filmed before a sold-out crowd at Phoenix's Celebrity Theater. It focuses largely on Segura's comedian wife, Christina P., their two sons, his now widowed mom, who's been sharing his, they say gummies, so I'm guessing weed gummies, to hilarious results. And they also talk about Brad Pitt, who is famously Tom Segura's new friend or whatever. But this is a first of a two special deal that Tom Segura inked with the streaming service Netflix in 2022. So I will watch any special Tom releases, and I'll be watching this in July for sure, and I think you should too. All right. So a lot of good comedy stuff out there as always. Kind of like the video games, there's a million great comedic podcasts and things like that to listen to and specials, and just a great time to be a comedy fan, just like it is to be a video game fan. And another thing it's great to be a fan of are sports. So the best team, the official NFL team of the Dep Lewis Show, the Carolina Panthers. What do I have to say about them this week? I just want to say Bryce Young has been looking great. My hype levels are up for him. He's been getting a lot of reps with the starters, so that's been nice to see. I'm glad to see they're not trying to hamstring him, and it looks like he is taking the ball and running with it and throwing strikes out there. And they say he's smart as fuck and knows the offense, and I'm just excited for it. I think it's a great thing, and I am ready to see him ball in some real games and also in some preseason games. So they announced their preseason games. I may try to go to some of these, so I can maybe see some Bryce Young and some Mingo out there, see some of the new guys. But they play home in Carolina versus the Jets. They're away at the Giants, and then they're home versus the Lions. So those dates are August 12th, August 18th, and August 25th. So only a few months away. So the August 12th and August 25th are the games in Charlotte. And maybe I'll make it to one of those. It'd be nice. Maybe I'll make it to both. And the last thing I want to say about the Panthers is they should extend Brian Burns. You should make him the highest paid edge rusher in the league. Give that man a huge bag of money and make him a Carolina Panther for the next 5 years or whatever you want it to be. And that is the last thing I want to say about the Panthers. Pay Brian Burns, give him a huge bag of money. He's making $18 million this year, so let's pay him that or more for the next how many ever years. That's what the Dep Lewis Show has to say. All right, so let's talk about the official team of the Dep Lewis Show, the Atlanta Braves, and the official sport of the Dep Lewis Show, the Major League Baseball. So let's cover what the Braves have been doing since we last talked. I said, did the Braves win at lunchtime Sunday versus the Mariners? And yes, the Braves won 3-2 to win the series against the Mariners, the same as it was against the Rangers series earlier in the week. So the Braves won 2 out of 3 against the Rangers that week, and then they won 2 out of 3 against the Mariners. And one of my friends went to all of those games, which is very impressive. So he has a 100% win rate. And then, so after that, the Braves moved on to a 3-game series versus the Dodgers in LA. The Braves, it was home, in Atlanta. Because we got to see Freddie Freeman come back, and, we got a big standing ovation, got a lot of cheers, and then he got down to business. So the Braves lost the first game versus the Dodgers. I said, welcome back, Freddie. The Braves lost the second game versus the Dodgers. Shout out to Bobby Miller, the young pitcher who got called up. He was looking really good in that game. Very impressive for a young guy, and the Dodgers should be very hyped to see him pitch again. He was looking like a stud out there. The third game Wednesday, though, the Braves beat the Dodgers, thank goodness. So we're not getting swept by those lowly Dodgers because they stink. I'm not a fan of those. Not a fan of those Dodger dudes. And then the Braves have moved on later in the week to a 4-game series versus the Phillies. So it's been a tough week. But the Braves beat the Phillies on Thursday. They lost Friday. The Braves lost to the Phillies Saturday during the afternoon game. Craig Kimbrell, he could be added to the big nuisance list. Yeah, he's really getting up there. I had another one too, Mr. Wheeler. Mr. Wheeler from last night could be getting onto my shit list too. But so Kimbrell and Wheeler, they're on. I think Kimbrell could possibly be on the list. Wheeler's sort of thinking about it. But that list now includes, it already includes Jordan Alvarez, Jeff McNeil, and Adolis Garcia. So, watch out, Kimbrell and Wheeler. You could be added to this list as well, so I'll keep a running tab of that. But we'll see how, my anger and festers on as the year goes on. So we'll see. And Adolis Garcia, you're on my hate list only for what you did to the Braves, even though the Braves got some wins, but you kept bombing on us. But I gotta say, Adolis is probably my favorite American League player right now. He's, I'm a Rangers fan for the American League now, so Adolis, maybe you'll get off this list and I'll replace you with one of these Philly guys, because that might be more appropriate. But for now, you're staying on there because you shouldn't hit bombs against the Braves. All right, so the Braves have one more game against the Phillies this week. It's lunchtime today on the Sunday if you're listening in real time. So I'll tell you about that next week. And then next week, the Braves should be racking up nothing but wins because they are playing the A's. They're playing in Oakland, and then they are playing in Arizona versus the Diamondbacks. So I don't know if it's 6 games or 7, how many it is over the course of the week, but I only expect the Braves to lose one of those games would probably be realistic and should be true to the matchups and the players that we have and just that kind of thing. So I want to see a bunch of wins from the Braves next week. I want to see Soroka come back. He could possibly come back. They were talking about Monday. I don't know if Soroka started in Gwinnett last night, but they were saying if he got pulled from his start, that would be a good cue that he's going to play this week, for the Braves. But it seems like his return is imminent, and I'm excited to see him pitch. I saw some interview he did, and he was looking properly jocked, as they would say on the Pat McAfee show. He was looking jacked. So hopefully he can bring that jackness to the mound and remain healthy and get back to what he was doing, because he was flirting with being our ace, like he really was. And I would say he was our ace at some point. So let's get his ace ass back on the mound and see what he can do, is what I gotta say. And then the last thing I want to talk about for the Braves is just my favorite player in the world, Ronald Acuna. They had a pretty decent article about Ronnie on ESPN, so go check that out. It really talks about how he was really down when he got his injury and was really wondering if he would be back to the same Ronnie. And, Ronnie's such a young guy. So cool to see him back in great form. And he's got, his best years of baseball are ahead of him. And I think he's the best player on the planet. And I think he should win the MVP. And he's my favorite player to watch, even if he doesn't win that stuff. So shout out to Ronnie. Go read that article and support him. I think it's cool for more people to get to know about Ronnie. So I think it's nice to see a big mainstream article about him. And, my favorite player is the coolest one out there. So that's just what it is. So go Braves. Hope they win against the Phillies today. So that's going to wrap up this Miscellaneous Talk section for this week, for episode 34. We talked about Danny McBride being on Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast. Also, Will Compton's been on there recently, so go check out the boys. Bert Kreischer has a new movie out called The Machine. Go watch that in theaters right now. Tom Segura has a new special called Sledgehammer coming out on July 4th, 2023. We talked about the Panthers. Go Bryce Young, and they should pay Brian Burns. And then the Atlanta Braves, shout out to Ronnie. Shout out to the Braves. I want to see a bunch of wins next week, and I will be reporting back to you on the Dep Lewis Show next week. So just thank you for listening to this show as always. And I think I had a lot of fun recording this week's episode. It's been fun having the Zelda talk going on, and I'll be looking forward to doing some more Zelda talk next week. But let's see here. I want to tell you, just some things to help improve this world famous show. Please, you should, and tell everyone to follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review. Turn on notifications and tell a friend. Email any questions or feedback to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. That email box is open 24/7, 365, so slide on in there. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Patreon, and more on my Buzzsprout page. The Buzzsprout page is a great hub to listen to the Dep Lewis Show. You can also subscribe to the Dep Lewis Show on patreon.com/DepLewisShow. It's $1 a month for the ground floor tier, and that is a general support tier for the Dep Lewis Show. It'll never change in price, and it will include any content that is posted on the Patreon always. So those first 100 people are the stars of the show on Patreon, so please go sign up for that. After the first 100 slots get taken, I'll bump that price up to a regular Patreon price. So that first 100 really is a deal. It's an investment for the future and an investment for some more great Dep Lewis Show content. So clips of the show are on YouTube and TikTok. follow me there, and please like those and share those. That's really helpful. You can see some gameplay footage that I capture along with audio from the podcast. And just thank you for listening and engaging to the show in any way. I talked about my download numbers being up earlier in the show, so I really appreciate that. I hope to continue seeing that trend. And I hope this show is, bringing you the best video game news and information and thoughts each week, because that is the intention. That's the main focus of the show, is to give you the best video game thoughts and news out there weekly on a weekly basis. Then also give you some other forms of entertainment that are going on that I'm into, like podcasts and comedy and sports and just things like that. Just trying to spread the word on some cool things out there. And I hope that is what the Dep Lewis Show is doing. So thank you for being a loyal listener. Thank you for listening as always. And I'll be back next week for episode 35. This has been episode 34 of the Dep Lewis Show, and I will see you next week.